Welcome, everyone. I'm excited to kick off today's presentation with a fascinating topic. Today, we'll be exploring young versus mature, how women's preferences in men change over time. Over the next few slides, we'll delve into the differences in what women tend to look for at various stages of life and discuss the underlying reasons behind these shifts. So, let's get started and see what insights we can uncover together. Human attraction isn't just a random thing we experience. It's actually influenced by a mix of biology, psychology, and where we are in our life stage. Dr. Helen Fisher, a renowned biological anthropologist, has studied this extensively. She explains that romantic love is one of the brain's most powerful systems, on par with hunger or fear in terms of intensity. It's a deeply ingrained part of how we connect and form bonds. However, even though the capacity for love is universal and has remained consistent across time, what women look for in a man can change quite a bit as they grow from youth into maturity. These evolving preferences are shaped by biological and psychological factors, as well as the different stages of life we go through. Understanding these shifts is important because it helps us see why attraction isn't static. It's dynamic and deeply personal. So, let's explore how these preferences change over time and why recognizing these shifts matters in understanding human attraction and relationships overall. Let's explore the fascinating biology of love by focusing on 3 key brain systems that shape attraction. Before we get into how these systems change with age, it's important to understand what they are and how they influence our feelings and behaviors. First, we have the lust system, which is primarily driven by hormones like testosterone and estrogen, fueling our desire for intimacy. Next is the attraction system, often associated with dopamine and norepinephrine, responsible for the excitement and focus we feel when we're drawn to someone new. Finally, there's the attachment system, linked to hormones like oxytocin and vasopressin, which help develop long-term bonds and feelings of security. Understanding these systems gives us insight into why we behave the way we do in love and relationships, and it sets the stage for exploring how these processes evolve over different stages of life. By grasping these core concepts, we can better appreciate the complexity of attraction and connection throughout our lives. All right, let's talk about the drive system, which is often associated with lust. This drive is primarily fueled by testosterone, a hormone that really ramps up our physical attraction and desire. You might notice that in youth, this drive tends to be dominant. That's when hormones are at their peak and attraction feels intense and immediate. Now, moving on to romantic love, which is a different but connected system. This one is controlled by dopamine, the same chemical involved in reward and pleasure. It's what creates that obsession, focus, and passion we often describe as falling in love. Both of these systems are crucial to understanding human attraction and relationships. They operate differently, one driven by physical desire, the other by emotional and psychological focus. But together, they shape much of our romantic behavior. Recognizing how these systems work helps us see why love and attraction are so complex, yet fundamentally tied to our biology. Let's talk about attachment. This system is guided by hormones like oxytocin and vasopressin, which play a key role in how we form and maintain bonds. It develops slowly over time and provides us with a sense of stability, comfort, and long-term connection. In early adulthood, many women are often drawn to the excitement of lust and romance, the thrill of new love. But as they mature, there's a noticeable shift. The attachment system becomes more prominent, and what they value in a partner starts to change. It's less about the initial spark and more about deep, lasting bonds. This transition highlights how our priorities evolve as we grow, and it ties into the overall theme of how our biological systems influence relationship dynamics over time. When women are younger, their attraction to someone is often closely linked to novelty and stimulation. Now, this doesn't mean they're not interested in stability, far from it, but their brains tend to respond more strongly to certain qualities. For example, confidence and charisma play a huge role. The ability to stand out and capture attention in social settings often matters more than long-term planning skills at this stage. Physical chemistry is also a major factor. Looks, sexual energy, and charm tend to dominate attraction during youth because the sex drive system is more influential. It's about that immediate spark. Additionally, traits like adventure and risk-taking, things like curiosity, boldness, and unpredictability, are highly attractive because they trigger dopamine release, making experiences feel more exciting and romantic. This stage is often characterized by what we call instant chemistry, what some describe as love at first sight. The feelings of obsession and euphoria that come with early romance can be incredibly intoxicating. Younger women tend to be more drawn to this kind of intense, immediate connection, which fuels that sense of excitement and passion we're talking about today. When women reach a more mature stage in life, their priorities often shift, and they begin to value different qualities in a partner. As women gain life experience, they tend to look for stability, depth, and consistency rather than fleeting excitement or superficial charm. Reliability becomes a key trait. It's about showing up consistently, keeping promises, and following through on commitments. This reliability is often more attractive than just being charming in the moment. Emotional intelligence also plays a big role. Mature women appreciate men who can communicate clearly, regulate their emotions, and handle conflicts with patience. It's about creating a sense of emotional safety and understanding. When it comes to commitment and security, they're usually seeking long-term partnership rather than short-term thrills. They want someone who provides emotional safety and can be a supportive presence, whether that's for building a family or supporting career growth. Shared values and life goals matter more than just surface-level chemistry. Compatibility, a sense of teamwork, and a shared vision for the future becomes central. This overall shift highlights the importance of the attachment system, where bonds are nurtured through trust, empathy, and shared life investments. It's about creating a connection that's deep, stable, and meaningful over time. Why these shifts happen in what women look for in a partner is really fascinating, and it's rooted in both evolution and experience. When we're young, our preferences are often driven by biological imperatives, things like novelty and passion that support mate selection and reproduction. It's about seeking excitement and newness. But as women grow older, those priorities naturally shift. Stability and attachment become more important because they help safeguard long-term survival and support building a family. Another key point is how we learn from pain. For example, after experiencing heartbreak or betrayal, women tend to reevaluate what they truly value. They start prioritizing qualities like honesty and loyalty, traits that foster trust and security, over just raw attraction or superficial qualities. Life's changing circumstances also play a big role. In her 20s, a woman might be drawn to a man's spontaneity or adventurous spirit. But as she moves into her 30s or 40s, qualities like financial stability, dependability, and maturity tend to carry more weight. It's a natural evolution. Ultimately, all these factors, biology, experience, shifting life contexts, reshape what's often called the love map, that unconscious list of what we seek in a partner. And understanding this helps us see how our preferences are not fixed but evolve over time. Now, let's talk about what men can learn when it comes to adapting to women's evolving desires. Understanding these shifts is really key if you want to build meaningful relationships at any stage of life. For younger men, confidence and presence are obviously important, but what really sets you apart is learning emotional depth early on. Developing that ability to connect on a deeper level can make a huge difference. For older men, it's not about trying to compete with youthful charm or looks. Instead, focus on showcasing qualities like stability, wisdom, and emotional strength. These are the qualities that mature women find truly magnetic and appealing. And no matter your age, remember that attraction isn't static. What captivates a woman at one point in her life might change later on. But some qualities, like genuine integrity, respect, and consistency, remain universally attractive across the board. So, the overall takeaway is that understanding and adapting to these evolving desires helps you build more authentic, lasting connections, which is really the core theme of this entire presentation. As we come to the final slide, let's reflect on the key message. Attraction does evolve over time, but love itself endures. In the early stages, youthful attraction is often driven by passion and the thrill of novelty. It's exciting, intense, and sometimes fleeting. But as we grow and develop deeper connections, attraction shifts towards stability, emotional depth, and trust. And those changes aren't signs that the romance is fading. They actually signal growth and maturity in the relationship. Remember, romantic love is fundamentally a primal system, as Dr. Helen Fisher reminds us. It's powerful, sometimes addictive, and can feel overwhelming. That's part of what makes love so compelling. But understanding how women's desires evolve over time helps us build relationships that aren't just exciting in the beginning, but are also long-lasting and fulfilling. So the overall theme is that love is dynamic. It transforms, yes, but it also deepens, and with understanding and commitment, it can truly stand the test of time.